Welcome to Business Unveiled Podcast. This is the place where we help overwhelmed, time-starved entrepreneurs like you make the profitable shifts to get more done and get more out of life. I'm your host, Angela Profit, award-winning 8-figure entrepreneur and CEO. And in every episode of Business Unveiled, I'm bringing you conversations that will give you the expertise and strategies that will scale your team and business so you can get shit done. That's GSD in our world. So get your time back and grow a business that helps you be present in your life. Let's do this, y'all.
We're on the prowl for a little mini trampoline. At least that's what we're telling ourselves. That's what it is, but it's really not that, but it's okay. Okay.
Hello.
Welcome to our beach podcast episode and our special series with the Mini 18.
Yes,
because
I just yelled really loud and now that lady's staring at us.
Oh, good. Hi. Just
Oops.
wait. So we are going to do a special series because you know what? If someone in your community keeps asking you the same questions over and over and over, you definitely should take the time to do a blog or a podcast so that, thank you!
Thanks.
You want to do like a blog or a podcast on it so then it can be like searchable like in your blogs, or you could do a video about it and then like timestamp it in YouTube.
It's kind of one of those things where it's like some people get nervous to ask questions, but it's likely that somebody has the same question as you.
Right.
And so if you get it answered, that's just helping a bunch of other people.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to ask. And some of the questions that people ask us, I think are kind of ballsy.
Yeah.
But like, I'm a ballsy person. It's like I would ask those things. So what energy you put out comes back to you. So we thought we would take a day and answer some questions on one of our episodes to kick off our travel series in the Bahamas. In the Bahamas. It's beautiful today. It's a little windy.
Not live, but we're videoing.
Podcasting.
Look, a little shell.
Oh, that's so special.
I got that for you.
Thank you. I'll keep it forever.
It's a gift.
Guess where I'll keep it? In my ear. As an earring.
Wasn't there a movie that like had starfish earrings? Actually, this is very cute. I don't know if anyone remembers the movie Aquamarine.
I've never heard
But it was about like this mermaid that washed up and these like teenage girls. Like, anyway, my grandma, so the mermaid in the movie, she used actual little starfish as earrings. And they whispered compliments in her ears.
Oh, I love that.
And so my grandma bought me little silver starfish earrings.
And then it whispers positive things in your ear.
Yeah.
I love that.
Grandmas are so cute.
I have to put this shell away now so I don't lose it. Okay, so back to what we were doing. So we're doing a special series so that we answer the most frequently asked questions by people that Amanda and I get asked, which is hilarious.
We may have some friends to join.
They don't know that they're our friends yet. Nor do they know that they're going to dance with us very soon.
So what's our first question?
The first question is, well, first I wanted to give a little bit of background and context so that people understand, because depending on where you come into your journey and you meet us, there's a lot that people don't know. And like with both of us, when people ask us, what do you do?
Right.
Right?
And it's such a hard question to answer. Like,
I mean, we do a lot. We do a lot of very, very specific, tedious things.
Yeah.
And so my answer is like, it really depends on the day. It depends on who I'm talking to. It depends on the audience. And it depends on what the need is, on where I can best add value to whatever their problem or conundrum or whatever that word is.
Conundrum.
Yeah, that is. But, I mean, at the core of it, for many, many, many years, I don't know, people always tell me I'm very confusing and like I don't know how to focus, but I'm getting better every year.
Well, I think that in essence what we do, we have learned a lot of things through experience.
Yep.
And we want to help other people from having to do it the hard way.
Right.
So basically, we just help people.
How it is.
And
real life.
With a number of different things. And we're able to reach like more people that way.
Yep.
And generally, it's helping people in business.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whoa. If our phones go forward, you will see me move faster than you've ever seen me
Yeah,
move.
but they'll be fine. They're water resistant.
Oh.
Up to a certain amount of
Oh.
like I wouldn't dip it in the water, but if it's all in, it'll be okay.
So if I drop it in the commode, it's going to be okay?
Probably, but don't do that.
Well, I did it before, but that was a different phone.
Have you noticed the toilets here? Sidebar, people.
They're not normal.
It's so low.
Yeah, it's like a European commode.
I don't like that.
I don't either.
Like, it's a long way down.
Actually, I like it because I'm short.
No, I don't mean the height of the toilet seat. I mean where where it goes. Yeah.
Oh.
It's so far down.
I didn't really pay attention.
Like the bowl isn't full with water.
So what we're going to do is an exercise called a Lifeline.
Yes.
And this is something that I learned through EO in the entrepreneur organization. And so it's a great exercise if you've never done it before, because it really helps you to it helps you lay out like patterns in your life, and the key word being pattern, because you're born with a certain kind of personality, and your environment and your experiences, yes, it can change your perspective and change the way you act and the way you react and the way that you don't react to something.
But a lot of people at their core, like, we're born with a certain personality.
Right.
And like you're saying, experience can change it.
Right.
But it's just who you are.
Right, and don't fight it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, why fight it? If you love doing something, and this is where I'm just so confused with people where they're like, well, I work in healthcare, but I love doing this. And I'm like, well, then why don't you do that full time?
Yeah, why aren't you doing it?
And I do understand that some people, their personality is they want to do the same thing for 30 years, and then they just want to do their hobby, and they want to monetize it. And they don't want to monetize it, and they don't want to.
Because that's what the world tells you to do. Like, get a job, have longevity.
Right.
You know, go to school. Not in that order. I mean, you can do it in whatever
go to
order
school,
you want.
Get married, have 2 kids,
Yeah.
2 dogs, a white picket fence, a Range Rover, and be married for 50 years until death do us part, and work at the same company and corporation.
And like,
for healthcare.
that
and
works
benefits.
for a lot of people. And pieces of that may work for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's
But
okay.
if you feel like that doesn't work for you, then
Keep
change
listening.
it. Yeah.
And what gets me is like, we'll be traveling just, all over the place, and I'll just ask random people, like Uber drivers, for example, are you happy? Like, do you like it here? Are you from here? Are you happy? And the people...
And they say that they're not.
Right.
And that
really,
they don't have a choice.
Yeah, it really bothers me. And so when I ask people, I challenge them, I'm like, why? What do you mean you don't have a choice? And the ones that say, well, I have 2 kids, I'm divorced until they're 18, I can't go out of the state. Like, I understand that. You got to be there for your kids. But if it's just like there's no good excuse, well, this is where I'm from, this is where my family's from, this is where I grew up, like, that's not a good enough excuse. So if you are of the certain personality where you know there's more, you're never going to stay there and be content, because you know that there's more to life. A lifeline. And so what EO did, it's like you literally start when you were born, and you write each year all the way to your age now, and you do the one high that year and the one low that year. And not that we're going to go through every year of our life, but like, I met a guy in the lobby in India on my way to the airport. He was like helping me with my bags because I had so many effing bags. I looked so ridiculous.
Not uncommon.
Oh my God. I always have to get a new suitcase, and then it's like I had a lot of gifts from India. I mean, people are so nice and gave us like the most beautiful things like that you just can't leave behind. And then of course I wanted to buy my family things, and it's like, I don't know when I'm going to be back in India for sure. So anyway, and he's like, I don't know. It was just like really short, quick conversation. And then he's like, oh, you travel for work, what do you do? And I'm like, I create content, and I help people in the hospitality and healthcare industry really focus on productivity. And wrapped up in productivity is a lot of things. Like, we talk about people, processes, the cloud, profitability, but really, COVID made me take a step back. And before all of that other stuff, you have to have your well-being and your wellness. We're going to talk about that later. But that's like the most important thing. Anyway, we instantly connected, and he's like, oh, you have a podcast. I have a podcast. And so then he said something, and the whole reason he came up to me was my bags were a lot, but he was asking me about my watch, not my Apple Watch, like another watch, which sparked the conversation. And he's like, I have a medical, like, health tips podcast. And then I'm like, oh, me too. Oh, yeah. And then he's like, wait, what do you do? And I'm like, I made a link in bio to try to help people understand more about what I do. And you get the question all the time, like, what exactly do you do?
I do, and I usually give a short answer. I just say I plan events and I work in like marketing, like digital marketing, because that's what people resonate with the most. Like they understand what that is. Otherwise, I'd be standing there for hours. Yeah.
To give you a little bit of context of like where we came from and like who we are. Amanda, tell us from the time you were born till 5. Give us an overview.
Until 5?
Yeah, till you're 5. We're gonna do this in 5-year increments.
Okay.
Kind of.
So, like, life events.
Yeah, like if you go down through each year, what was and we usually do the one high each year and the one low each year.
Well, I'm not sure that I can remember highs and lows from when I was 5.
I know, it's hard. It's really hard.
I was born in Nashville, Tennessee, in January of 1994. On the coldest night of the year. It was the coldest night of the year. I was actually born on my due date, so you can see, based on my personality,
100% that would make sense.
I'm very structured and very on time. But yeah, so since birth, I have been very OCD, apparently. So yeah, I was born in January 1994 in Nashville, Tennessee. My parents are from Massachusetts. So the time I was raised up until school, I was raised like I was from New England. Like I didn't know what fried okra was, or like people saying y'all, or like any of that. I didn't know any of that. And then I went to school and I learned more. Yeah, so I was
when you were about 5.
Yeah, and I was the second sibling. So second child, and I have an older sister, and those are my only siblings.
Yep.
Yeah.
So 1 to 5 for me. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, at the hospital that Elvis Presley died in. My mom likes to tell everybody that. It's not there anymore. They blew it up, but it's all good. Construction and growth is a good thing. But we lived in Memphis because my dad's job with the railroad. He did a lot of undercover work and worked there for his entire career.
It was undercover for drugs, right?
Yep.
On the railroad?
Yep, he started as a fireman and then a policeman.
I didn't know he was a fireman.
Yep, and they're from the Gulf Coast, and so like our vacations were like not what we know as vacation today at all. It was to go get in a station wagon and drive 9 hours to the Gulf Coast of Mississippi.
I think that those were my family vacations growing up. It usually included a KOA campground or like something like that.
Yes, like my mom made me be in Girl Scouts, and like I love Girl Scouts, and it's a great organization. I'm not an outdoorsy girl, period, the end.
She's not.
No. So
if it's a beach, it's different.
Yeah. I'm a beach girl. Like put me in, give me some water up high and I can like see infinity. I'm happy, I'm good. But no, I'm not an outdoorsy girl. But so we lived in Memphis, and then my dad got transferred to Nashville. This was after Elvis died, and started traveling and covering like the South and like internal fraud in the company. And then my mom got pregnant and had this baby, and I hated my sister.
Well, Angela's the firstborn.
Yeah, I'm the oldest child, and I was the only child for a while and the only grandchild for a long time. So apparently I was a spoiled, rotten brat. And yeah, just a tad.
It happens.
And all the focus was on me. And then my sister came along, and they like tried to make me part of the process, and they're like, what do you want to name her? And I'm like, no name. And apparently I like threw her down on the ground like on purpose. I don't know, I don't remember any of these things.
She gets no name.
Yeah, and then my mom, gets pregnant right after my sister's born. So 12 months later, there's another baby born.
And Angela's just like, what is this?
2 babies? Like, what? WTF, Mom? You know what causes that, right? And my dad traveled constantly, so I'm like, what? I mean, you don't think of these things until like you're later an adult, like in life. But she had 2 babies back to back, and I was the older sister, and apparently I wasn't very supportive. And that took me to about 5. We moved to Nashville, and my little brother and sister were like babies.
We got an ocean hammock. Oh my God, you're gonna get motion sick.
That's it for this week's episode of Business Unveiled. Now that you have all the tools that you need to conquer the world and GSD, get shit done, Would you share this with your friends and fellow business leaders? One thing that would really, really help us and help new listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a comment in Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you tune in and listen to Business Unveiled. You can check out the show notes at angelaprofit.com/podcast and link up with us on social media so you can share your biggest insights. And I want to know your aha moments. Until next week, remember, the profitable shifts and structures you're creating in your business help you be more present in your life. So get out there and GSD.